I really can't believe that we are recording our third Pokemon Center before games have started, but I guess here we are. Anyways, I hope you'll join Harrison and I as we break down the week's upcoming matchups and talk about the most adhesive Pokemon on each team. Not necessarily in a literal sense, but you'll see. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third Pokemon Center of the year. It sounds kind of funny considering the title of this video, I think, will be Pokemon Center Week 1. But yeah, I'm joined here by Co-Commissioner Harrison.
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
I'm sure well. I guess I can't really speak for everyone, but I hope
you
well.
are not omniscient, but you have a hunch. If they're watching this video, you know their days.
That's right. It's gonna get better. Yeah. And today is a pretty simple, I guess, episode. We're just going to go over the upcoming games. There's 3 games this week, as there will be every week until the playoffs. And then we are also going to give out what Harrison affectionately titled the Elmer Award. What or for each team? What is the Elmer Award, Harrison?
Yes, so the Elmer's Award indicates the Pokemon that is the glue of the team, the most important, the one that holds everything else together. Now, it might not be like the highest tier, but it's the one that you'll be able to bring most consistently and be able to just consistently bring and always have it perform well for you.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So let's, that sounds right. Let's get into it. Okay. We'll just start off with this first game here. We've got the Braviaries versus the Kingdras. Some familial violence. As
we'll see a lot of familial violence.
We will, considering half the league
this whole season.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think of this matchup?
So I think this is going to be pretty brutal. I think it's going to be pretty brutal. I think Isaac did draft a solid team, but a very fresh competitor going up against the reigning champion, someone who has had a lot of experience playing. I think it's going to be a really tough welcome for Isaac. Looking at the teams, pulling them up here, I think the core that Isaac has with Toxapex, Kartana, Magnezone is a great core in and of itself. But I do think that with Corviknight, Mamoswine, Gastrodon core, especially with a Chandelure as well on Justice's side, I think Justice just has the matchup. I think he has the experience. I think it's not going to go very well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I assume Justice will win. Again, he's the reigning champ versus, I mean, it's a rookie, it's his first game ever. But I do think that Kartana is actually really, really good here. For the most part, like not a lot is going to beat a Kartana, like especially if it can get an SD up and it runs like fighting move, knockoff and leaf blade, like that is going to kill almost everything on his team, and it outspeeds everything naturally except for the Jolteon. And the Tauros, I guess I should say, but I don't think a Tauros is going to one-shot it. Maybe it will. And one thing that I guess I just wanted to say about the Braviaries that I didn't even think of, and I should have, because one of the reasons that Magnezone Kartana is really good is because you get to knock off the Shed Shell. Like, because obviously the obvious switch in on the Kingdras side to a cart would be the Corv. If he can predict that, click the knockoff. Now all of a sudden the Magnezone can trap the Corviknight. So I do think that's something that could see. But again, I do just kind of expect Justice to win, especially just because of the experience. Like I imagine he knows that. Or I imagine he could do something like bring a Scarf on his Chandelure so he can actually outspeed that cart and one hit KO it. I don't know. I just assume he's got plans.
Yeah, I think if it'll be interesting to see Isaac's preparation for it, because we have no idea how he likes to play. If he likes to play a hyper offensive build, or if he likes to have a couple bulky mons with setup sweepers at the end.
Yeah.
I do think with his top picks being Kartana and Magnezone being handled, I think, really pretty well by Chandelure, especially if you throw a choice scarf on it. And
I
then
mean,
the natural response
it's not
going
going to take a knockoff whatsoever.
No, it's not.
Cart,
but if Justice is able to get the Chandelure to just hit the Kartana once, it's going to be all over. Yeah. Or if you could also run Chandelure with the Focus Sash.
Yeah.
If that's something you're concerned about, if you're willing to trade the Chandelure for the Kartana.
Yeah.
And then the Toxapex is pretty well handled by the Mamoswine and the Gastrodon.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really want to come into like a Scald or something. If he so chooses to bring Scald on his Toxapex. But you're right. If like the Toxapex can't switch in on the Mamoswine, but I don't really think the Mamoswine wants to come in on the Pex either.
No, I don't think so. I'm thinking maybe something kind of like maybe like a very slow, like a slow U-turn.
Yeah.
Maybe a
like
teleport.
Corviknight gets U-turn. Does he have teleport? Who has teleport?
I would imagine Hatterene.
Oh yeah, I have no idea. He might. That's a good point. That'd be pretty good if he does.
I'm just making judgments now based on the color scheme.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so I predict this one to go pretty handedly to the Kingdras, but I do think that if we ever see this matchup again later down the season, as Isaac gets a little bit more experience, I think it'll be much, much closer. Because I do agree, I think the combo of the knockoff with a Kartana to knock off any Shed Shell on the Corviknight, to be able to trap it with Magnezone, that's a pretty high-level strategy that requires a lot of
forward thinking,
a lot of pre-planning, forward thinking, and making the right judgment call. And it's definitely going to be something Justice is going to consider if he brings Shed Shell Corviknight, is to make sure he's avoiding those knockoffs, because he doesn't want to get trapped by the zone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I wonder how much, I don't know the damage, but like, I don't know, Conk could be scary here. I don't know. There's a lot of Conk's just always scary. Yeah, gosh, I don't know. Does he learn like the elemental punches?
I do believe he learns the elemental punches.
Like, how much does like Guts, just like close combat, do to Corv? Ooh, a lot, quite a bit.
That's not max physical though. It looks like
true.
Special.
Yeah, he's
and he's definitely gonna be running max physical. Pretty much everything on Isaac's team is a physical attacker.
That's a good point, except for the zone.
And the zone.
Yeah, but he's not going to live much from a zone. Like, I don't know, Thunderbolt.
How much would a body press do to a zone?
It does a good amount. As someone who's ran Maximum quite a bit, it does a good amount. It depends on which set too, but it does over half. Now you can't. Now this is really fun, by the way. I hope we see this. My favorite zone is Iron Defense Zone. I don't know if I'd bring it against Corv, because he can U-turn out into something else. But man, like, there's against some teams where you just like set up on their, I don't know, Ferrothorn or something with Magnezone. Like I used to like to run substitute Iron Defense body press electric move. And I don't know, man, sometimes you kill their Ferrothorn, you're still behind a sub, and like, something has to come into this, and it can be hard, but
and take it. And yeah, definitely. I think the Magnezone's got some pretty cool flexibility, especially with, like you said, the Iron Defense.
Yeah.
I do think it's going to be I do think it's going to be pretty brutal.
Yeah. Okay. I think so too. But though again, I don't know if so much because of the team or just because I just expect just a veteran to kind of run over a rookie.
And Justice started off last season with a very unfortunate, very hacks-driven loss. Yeah. I think he's going to be very much looking to amend that and provide a really dominant week one showing.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's jump over to the Dittos versus the Thundurus. This is Zeke versus Austin. Go ahead. I feel like you were about to say something.
I'm really liking this matchup. I think this is probably going to be the best game of week one.
Okay.
My biggest question going into this game is, how is Melmetal going to do? How dominant is it going to be? Is it going to be the total monster that a lot of us are expecting it to be? Or is it going to be used incorrectly and end up being kind of a letdown? Because I think with the Melmetal, it's just so powerful, and it's going to have to, but it has to worry about a Darmanitan and an Urshifu.
Yeah.
Now, both of those are going to attack on the physical side, which is Melmetal's physical defenses are really, really good. But I still think that that's going to be something that he's going to be having to consider and make sure that he's not getting chipped down too much to where a Darmanitan is going to be able to switch in on a sack and just take it out. Yeah. Because nothing wants to switch into like a Choice Banded Flare Blitz or anything like that.
Yeah. On the other hand, though, if he can get Melmetal in, like even Darm takes 63 to 75 from the double Iron Bash. Urshifu, same thing, takes a good chunk. Takes just under half. But still, like that's a good chunk considering it's resisted. So yeah, I'm I don't know if he can get it in against I don't know like what actually can Melmetal just sit on.
Melmetal can sit on the Sceptile.
Yeah,
and the Durant.
The Durant. True. I guess Bisharp he can probably do fine against.
The Articuno.
Yeah. So there are things that he can just kind of come in and just chill on.
There seems to be more things the Melmetal can switch into than not.
Yeah.
And looking through Austin's team, he doesn't seem to have any slow Volt Switch or any slow U-turn. The only thing he's got I see is the Galvantula, which is going to be going to be faster than everything except the Dragapult and maybe the Urshifu. No, he's going to be faster than the Urshifu.
He does have a Chansey Teleport.
There we go. So that would probably be my recommendation for him is get the Chansey in to take some kind of special move and then teleport on the next move, either on a switch from the Dittos or just another attack to get the Melmetal in and then just go haywire. Does Chansey get Trick Room?
Well, let's find out. Chansey, I'll just do Control F for Trick. Doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Doesn't look.
Well, that's a good news for the Dittos then, because that would be pretty difficult to have the Chansey switch in, click Trick Room, then either die and get the Melmetal switch in for free or get the teleport off.
Yeah, I mean his team overall is pretty slow too. So also Togekiss now all of a sudden being able to outspeed the Dragapult or something could be big too. So
yes.
I don't know. I'm a little worried too about I don't know if the game plan of laying a ton of hazards is what I want against a team that's just so offensive. Because they're just
you need to be able to handle that. You can't just wait for the hazards to chip down more and more.
Right. I mean, so offensive games do two things. One, he just doesn't switch as much because the games are shorter. And I mean, oftentimes he's going to click a setup move, which means he ain't switching anyways. Right. And B, I forgot the other part of what I was going to say. Oh, and it's just hard to you just don't have time to even click the move. You know, like when they click Swords Dance and you click Stealth Rocks, they're like, cool.
Thanks for the free setup.
Yeah.
So it also negates Leech Seed from Ferroseed because you're going to be just killing things way quicker, as well as any Toxic Stall from Chansey.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Corsola is really good here because it can. I mean, the Strength Sap is really big in that as long as he can live the hit, he will cut their attack in half and he'll gain just a ton of health, probably back up to full. So I think Corsola is really important here. And though at the same time, like Bisharp and Dragapult are kind of scary for Corsola. So I don't know, especially the Bisharp. Obviously with the stab knockoff is going to do a lot and get rid of his Eviolite.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So who do you think's got the matchup here? Who do you think's going to pull out on top?
By the way, we were talking about if Austin has a good phaser. I completely forgot he has Garchomp Dragon Tail. The other day when we were talking about. Oh man, who do I think is gonna win? I will go with. I think Austin's gonna win, just because. I don't know. He just. I think he's pretty good. He was our finalist last year. I think he'll find a way. He also won this matchup last time. He got around Cloyster. Though I don't know, man. On paper, I'd be really scared to bring Hazards against, like, just Hazard stack against an offensive team. So what do you think?
I think this is going to be the best and closest game of the week. I think that Zeke will pull it out, actually.
Yeah.
I think Austin's got a great team, but I think on paper and I think in practice as well, I think Zeke will pull it out, with the hyper offensive just being too much for the Hazards to be able to really chip away at.
Yeah.
And he's got plenty of sweepers. He's got Dragapult, he's got Darmanitan, he's got Durant, he's got Urshifu. Just those four, and any combination of the four of them being brought, is just really, really scary.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be Zeke that will pull this one out.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting game.
Definitely.
For sure. A lot of, I don't know. I'm just excited to see what everyone brings just the first week. Like, I just want to see like what everyone's kind of plan A is. All right. The last game we have here is the Wartortles. It's Gabe versus Garrett, the Monfernos. Both team. I mean, let's see. Garrett did end the season really strong, which I appreciate. He got that win.
Yeah, he learned, he pulled it out. It was awesome to see him grow through that.
Yep. And I guess I would say sort of the opposite about the Wartortles. They kind of started real strong and sort of fell off.
They had an unfortunate back-to-back losses to our eventual champion.
Yeah, and they started undefeated. They were the longest. I believe they were the team that was undefeated the longest.
They were. That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully he can bounce back, I guess. I guess you've started the last two, so I guess I'll say something here. Weavile looks really, really, really good, in my opinion. Especially if I would run Swords Dance, an Ice Move, probably Triple Axle, Knockoff, and then Low Kick. And I think you're killing just about everything. The biggest hurdle, I guess, or scary mon for that plan is probably Infernape. It just resists both of his stabs, and it's not going to take that much from a low kick. But the Wartortles have some answers to Infernape, actually quite a bit. I mean, Tentacruel resists both of his stabs. Hippowdon will live anything, and can Earthquake it. Moltres Galar should live anything and hit it with a flying move. Alakazam outspeeds and probably one hit shot kills it with a psychic move. So I don't know. I think it's kind of the Weavile show, but what do you think?
I was thinking the exact same thing. I think Weavile absolutely destroys. It's just a matter of making sure the Infernape is out of the picture before getting the Weavile in, because it's so frail. You don't want to be sending it in and out multiple times, especially if any kinds of hazards are up.
Yeah, it can run boots, but yeah.
So I think I completely agree with you. I think Weavile is really going to dominate this matchup.
It outspeeds everything too. I mean, it really
it's
does.
so fast and it hits definitely hard enough to be able to just do a lot of damage. And one thing, again, looking at the Monfernos, if they bring the Dragonite with the multi-scale, they're forced to either not bring Tyranitar. I'm not going to even consider Abominous now. They're forced to not bring Tyranitar, or they're forced to either keep the Tyranitar held back until the Dragonite is down, or keep Dragonite out until Sandstorm goes down. And it really limits your mobility inside of the game with two of your tier ones kind of going against each other on your own team. It makes it pretty difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I guess he could. What's that? There's an item, right? The goggles or whatever.
Yeah, there's the safety goggles.
But gosh, you don't want to have to bring that every week, or
no. And it seems like it would be such a waste of an item on a Pokemon that's as dominant and strong as Dragonite. You want something that's a little bit. You want heavy duty boots.
I was gonna say you want boots because now you're just gonna lose it to the That's tough. That's tough. I know it's just really unfortunate. Like looking at all of his best Pokemon, they all just kind of lose to a Weavile. Now Tyranitar, if it's in like at the same time, it's gonna win because maybe a low kick kills. I don't know. I mean, he can run a berry or run some defensive investment, but yeah, I mean, I imagine it would live, but I know at +2, there's no way it's living a low kick.
No, if the Weavile is able to get in and set up one Swords Dance,
it's gonna be.
And the Infernape is gone. The game is over.
It's gonna be real tough. It's gonna be real. Now, Swampert probably lives a hit. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. It might live a hit.
The Swampert would probably live 1. I doubt it lives 2. So you're at the very least forced to sack something to get the Swampert in for free. Yeah,
at that point you probably just have to sack something, get it in, and then Scald and hope you get the burn. Would be the only thing you got left. But it's just unfortunate because Celebi obviously terrible matchup there. Dragonite doesn't. I mean, it sucks too because Weavile even gets to break his sash his multi-scale with triple axle. So it's just all bad. Gengar obviously, I mean, just gets knocked off. Just kind of sucks. So it's just a bad matchup, I think. I think if I'm him, I'm just saving this Infernape. I'm bringing Infernape, saving it for the Weavile. That's when it comes in, and just hope that for some reason Gabe doesn't switch into his Tentacruel or something. I don't know.
I think another good bring on Gabe's side would maybe be the Sylveon. I think it handles the Dragonite, it handles the Infernape, it can handle the Tyranitar. So it handles a lot of those higher tier, really powerful, scary Pokemon. So I think it's a defensive Sylveon set could be something that we would see coming from Gabe.
Yeah, it does somewhat handle them, but what's its physical defense? It doesn't really want to take a Stone Edge or something. I don't think. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm giving it not enough credit, but I mean, I'd probably bring it too, just because again, you're right. It's a really good. I mean, it threatens at the very least Dragonite a lot. But its physical defense is left one.
I also think it's interesting seeing an Alakazam versus Gengar matchup.
That's funny.
They're kind of the rivals of each other in Generation 1.
Yeah.
So seeing the two of them show up, and Alakazam obviously dominates that matchup.
He wins that matchup
every time.
Yeah, Alakazam's really good too. Yeah, here.
In looking at the matchups, I think Alakazam pairs well with the Weavile as offensive threats, because the only one that the Weavile doesn't really want to handle is the Infernape, and the Alakazam is going to be able to handle the Infernape perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I mean the Alakazam, it threatens a lot of the same. It condenses what he even has to, what the Monfernos can bring, because it also cleans up the Gengar. It also cleans up the Infernape. Not also, but
you run Focus Blast. It can clean up the Tyranitar and the Aggron.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know exactly what I'd do if I was the Monfernos from the other side. I mean, you can do some things bring a Scarf on something. Obviously a Scarf Tyranitar or something. I think would outspeed a Weavile. I actually don't know for sure off the top of my head, but max speed Scarf. Also, the Infernape has to be dead from Garrett's side, because it could just run Mach Punch.
Exactly.
And so it's not if he's low enough, I can chip him out. Or no, you need him dead.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't know. I mean, it's Pokemon. He can get creative. He can bring berries, or there's a lot of things he can do. But
yeah. I think Garrett would have to get very creative with the Monfernos on his side to be able to pull out a win. I think it leans more towards the Wartortles.
I agree. I think on paper this just happens to be the most one-sided matchup, just because Weavile just happens to crush his whole team.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, we got through that pretty quick.
Pretty quick. We have a whole one less matchup.
That's
this
true.
season.
That's true.
We lost 2 teams. Yeah.
Usually we also, going forward, we'll get a little longer because usually we recap a few of the games or talk about moments that stuck out to us or something. But Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Being week 1, we don't have much to reflect on.
Yeah.
And we also have our draft breakdown video.
I was gonna say we also did like a lot of the stuff we would have broke down like already in other videos. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the Elmer Award for each team.
Yes.
I guess you just want to. Let's start with the Braviaries.
Let's start with the Braviaries. Let's start with Isaac. All right.
You can go first this time.
All right. So for looking at this team, I think he's still he's 1 or 2 good pieces away from a really solid team. And the one Pokemon I think is irreplaceable is Toxapex.
Okay.
I think super strong defensive core, bulky water type with Regenerator. I think that it can fit on any team and be a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know very many people that like wouldn't take a Toxapex, like if they just got one for free. So yeah, and I'm sure I can't imagine it doesn't come very often. Like I don't know, like maybe there are matchups like, but yeah, for the most part, Toxapex is going to be very good. Okay, I guess I'll say I went for lower tier mons in general, but like I mean not necessarily like tier 5s or something, but I don't know. I mean, because yes, I imagine your tier 1s are coming very consistently. But I picked Comfey. It's his only fairy type. It does a lot. It has just like a weird move pool. It does a lot of things. It gets like U-turn for some reason. I think it gets like Heal Bell. It gets Leech Seed. I don't know. I guess it looks like a grass type, so it gets a lot of like weird supporty grass moves. Also, it's probably, just looking up and down his team, the mon that I would bring Defog on the most. Just because, yes, Kartana learns it. Yes, Flygon learns it. Yes, I think even Conch learns it too. But, like, I don't know. I just imagine I have more room on Comfey's moveset for Defog than I do on, like, a Conch, who I just want to have as much wall-breaking power as possible.
Totally.
But, yeah, it gets a lot of things. It gets Trick. It gets Taunt. I don't know. I just think this mon is going to do a lot for him. And it just, again, it's his only fairy type, I believe. Yeah, so I picked Comfey.
Nice. I agree. I think it's a great pick.
Thanks. All right, what are you gonna pick, sir? Or I guess you know what? I'll go first this time since I went.
Go ahead. Let's see if we match, because I picked a lower tier 1 for this guy.
Okay, I picked a very weird pick. I picked Aurorus.
You picked Aurorus.
I picked Aurorus mainly because. Again, when I think of a Gloomon too, I often think of like these weird like utility style mons. And this is his only stealth rocker outside of Bisharp, and I don't want to bring stealth rocks on Bisharp that often. Also, it gets like Thunder Wave. It gets and I think the most important thing it gets is Aurora Veil. Especially on a really offensive team like this. I imagine wanting to lead my Aurorus with like a Sash that has like Stealth Rocks and Aurora Veil, and just click those 2 moves and then let it die. Or you know, hopefully I live like enough to even click both those moves. And then once it dies, I get to bring in my setup sweeper, my Bisharp, my Cloyster. Now it's behind dual screens. Yeah. Also, it gets Haze, which I don't know if it matters, but it's just another support move that I think could matter. Yeah, I know that's a weird one, but that's the one I picked.
No, I think it's great. I went 1 tier above, and I picked the Articuno.
Okay.
I think having the flying type to be able to switch into Earthquakes on the Bisharp and the Darmanitan.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the Aurorus, I think is really valuable. We saw last season how bulky it can be, even taking rock moves.
Bulky, yeah. It is weirdly bulky.
It gets reliable recovery with Roost. I think it's partnering with the Aurorus, and I know it'll be able to shoot off. It'll be able to shoot off blizzards.
Yep. Get Snow Cloak. Don't underestimate Snow Cloak.
No, yeah. So I think the Articuno is a solid bring. Not every week, but I do think that it will be able to hold things together as a strong defensive, in a special defensive Pokemon. and be able to get recovery. It can put up screens if you want it to. It gets priority with Ice Shard. I know it's physical, but it's still a possibility. I ran out of physical Ice Shard on my Alolan Ninetales.
I remember.
And it works out. It gets U-turn and
Heal Bell. Gets all kinds of Tailwind.
You can run Toxic on it as well. I think it has a lot of different options in utility, and you can really plug it in, and it can fill many different roles.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it is, like, I feel like people forget just how insanely bulky it is. I mean, even not special defensive, it has 100 base defense. Like, that's pretty good. That'll get it done.
I think it's solid, especially for sitting in tier 4. I think its stats are great.
Yeah. Also, other than Cloyster, it's his only defogger. Well, Cloyster's a rapid spinner.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I almost picked.
Get rid of hazards. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost picked Articuno too, but I was like, I don't know.
I'll tell you, I did not almost pick Auroras.
Thanks. I didn't think you would. I went for some weird because I was like, man, we're always just gonna pick these, you know. But okay, let's move on to the Wartortles. You pick first this time.
All right. So looking at this team, this one was a little bit harder.
Okay.
And I got stuck between 2.
Okay.
And so I leaned more on the weather route, and I think the Hippowdon is the glue for this team. I think it's such a strong, bulky defensive mon.
Yep.
It gets recovery. It can force people out with Yawn.
Yeah.
And it gets a reliable recovery with Slack Off.
Yeah.
Stab Earthquake is always good. And setting up Sandstream is great as well to be able to chip your opponents. He doesn't have any Pokemon on his team to be able to take advantage of the Sandstream yet. I'm hoping we'll see some kinds of transactions in the future, where maybe he'll pick up something that can take advantage of that weather, and then that'll just make him all the more valuable.
Yeah, it is frustrating too. There's actually only 2 Pokemon on his team other than Hippowdon that don't take sand damage, which is the Shuckle and the Minior. But
right.
Yeah. No, and also, I mean, not only forcing people out with Yawn, but I mean, he also gets Whirlwind, so
yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think you said that's his only. Is that his only phaser?
I don't know, but I mean,
it's
one of the best phasers, like just
it is.
Period. So
you can also run it with. You also get it with Stealth Rocks.
Yeah.
I think it's just such a solid Pokemon. It is arguably, if not the best sand setter.
It's
depending
close.
Depending on if you want to argue Tyranitar, but they just fill such different roles.
Yeah.
So I definitely think Hippowdon.
Sure. I think that's a great pick. I went with Tentacruel.
That was my other one.
Yeah, I went with Tentacruel for a couple reasons. One, I think it actually, one of the things that I figured out while doing this, I think it resists every single one of Weavile's weaknesses, which I think could prove useful multiple times this season.
Yes.
I think. I don't know. And also Weavile actually helps a little bit too, like it can take the psychic moves and things. But anyways, beyond just that, it also is again his best rapid spinner on a team that I think will lay more hazards than most.
Yes.
He has just a very consistent stealth rocker. Tentacruel himself gets access to toxic spikes. Does he also get spikes? I don't actually know. Shuckle will put down the
sticky webs.
Sticky webs.
Also, rocks on the
he
Shuckle
also
if you
gets
want
stealth
to.
rocks true too. Yes. So again, I think having a reliable rapid spinner on a team that just will have a lot of hazards is wise. Yeah, and I mean it kind of like I guess kind of like Auroras. It gets a lot of just useful moves. It gets like Haze. What else did I find out? It gets Knockoff. Yeah, I don't know. Its coverage is okay. Like you see here, it gets like Aurora Beam. It might get Ice Beam too. It does get Ice Beam. It gets Icy Wind, Hex, Dazzling Gleam. I don't know. I think it's going to be good. Also, I know just from talking to Gabe, he really does not like Leech Seed. So I imagine him having Liquid Ooze might come into play this season. I don't know, but I don't know, just something to think about. Also gets that 100% accurate Toxic. I don't know. I think Tentacruel will be a very important member for this team.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great pick.
Yes, me too. That's why I picked it. So I actually think I want to make a note here of this next team, Monfernos. I feel like he has a lot of just mons that like I consider gluey, I guess. I don't know, like just a lot of mons that can, because I don't know, I just think of like mons that can kind of be like flexible enough to just sort of like fill in these spots. And like, I think Dragonite does that, offensive defense. I think offensively Infernape does that, just because its move pool is super crazy wide offensively, and it can set up physically or especially. There's also the Tyranitar, which again, you can run this sort of offensive Tyranitar, this sort of defensive like T-Wave, Stealth Rock Tyranitar. But I went with Celebi just because its move pool is so crazy. I really think he can build this to do basically anything he wants every single week. It gets reliable recovery. He can run like weird future sight, like, and then I'm sure I don't know, but I'm assuming it gets U-turn. It does. Yeah, he gets the heal bell. He can do like lead. I don't know. It can be defensive, I guess is what I'm saying, and it can also be offensive. It gets healing wish if he wants to like feint it into like a second chance at like a setup sweeper. Also offensively, I believe it gets Swords Dance and Nasty Plot, much like the Infernape. So it can be run physically or specially. It gets Stealth Rock, so it gets to contribute even to hazards. I went with Celebi.
Nice. Awesome. So I went the weakest to Celebi, which is Swampert.
Okay.
I think Swampert, and we saw this a bit last season as well, with on Justice's team. I think Swampert is a great one and can be built to fill a bunch of different roles as well. It's got decent defenses in base 90s in both stats with base 100 HP, which is nothing to laugh at. Base 110 attack is pretty darn good, especially when you get stab earthquakes. You can also run it to it has good coverage with Rock Slide as well. I think it's a solid Pokemon. You can even get coverage with like Ice Punch if you want to.
It gets like Hammer Arm. So
it gets Hammer Arm. And then there's the you can run Stealth Rock on it as well, and then you can always run Toxic Stall. Toxic protects.
No, yeah, I think he gets Yawn. I don't know. I really, looking up and down this team, I was like, I feel like he just has so many mons that kind of fit what I would consider. Like, I think you could, like, half of his team almost just kind of fit this. Like, even Uxie. Like, I don't actually think, I would never pick Uxie just because he already has the Celebi. But, like, Uxie does that same thing where his move pool is very wide, gets Stealth Rocks, gets U-turn, gets, I don't know, just interesting how... I don't know. His team is just very flexible from an individual Pokemon basis.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move on to the Thundurus. I guess this is my turn. And once again, I think, like you mentioned earlier, I was really deliberating between two. Oh man, even now I'm looking at this and I'm not sure, but I'll say Drapion. I think Drapion's important for this team. Number one, it's one of his only knockoff switch-ins. He's got the Hitmonlee, but given the nature of Hitmonlee and how I would imagine, I guess, myself using Hitmonlee most of the time, if I brought it, would be as a setup sweeper. So I don't really want to like switch it in a bunch of times. Whereas Drapion's got pretty good natural bulk, and just like the role I imagine him fitting, I would be fine switching him in a few times. He even's got battle armor if I want to, not worry about the crits. Also, I don't know if this is true for sure, but it's I actually do know it's not true, but it is one of his only phasers. I know Butterfree, I think, learns Whirlwind, but I actually checked today and Togekiss does not. I also checked Corsola, Ferroseed, and Chansey. They don't learn Roar or whatever it's called, Roar or Whirlwind. But Garchomp does. But again, one of his only phasers gets Whirlwind for some reason. Also, this is just the kind of Mon too that like he's just gonna get to throw on like a random Fire Fang if he fights like a Scizor. I guess no one drafted Scizor, huh? But like something like that.
Right.
Just because he has these good just like coverage options with the Fire Fang, the Ice Fang, the Thunder Fang. You can even run like a setup, like he gets Swords Dance, he gets Spikes. Like I said, he gets to run Whirlwind if he wants to bring him in part of like the whatever package, the the hazards package. He gets Aqua Tail. I don't know. I think he also gets Earthquake, right? Or does he get Earthquake? He does.
He does.
I think he does. He also get the Rock. Yeah, he also gets Rock Slide. So like again, I think his coverage is good enough. Like I could see you bringing him as like even like a Scarfer or something. So yeah, I went with Drapion.
Nice, awesome. I went with Togekiss.
Okay.
I love Togekiss. I know you love Togekiss.
He was the one that I was considering.
He is. Togekiss is just phenomenal. It gets in my opinion, three really good abilities. But you're probably almost always going to be running Serene Grace. It's with its specials being special attack and special defense in 120 and 115. Both are really solid. Also, you can use it as a Wish Passer if you want to.
Yeah.
And I was already going to pick it, and then I was going through and looking at the coverage that it gets, and I was so surprised that it does. Coverage. The coverage is phenomenal. You can run Heat Wave on it, you can run Grass Knot, Future Sight, Shadow Ball. You can set up with it with Nasty Plot, you can run Thunder Wave. You can even Trick if you want to get fancy. Or if you want to do like a Nasty Plot stored power set.
Or you can try to cheese people out with Ancient Power.
You can cheese people with Ancient Power, totally. I think it's so diverse, and I think it's bulky enough to where you can slap it on any team, and it's going to fill a role really, really well.
Yeah, I also think, you brought up Thunderwave. I think Thunderwave is important too, just because his team is pretty slow. And so I do think being able to spread around that Thunderwave, which I know he also has Galvantula, but Galvantula is not going to live like a Togekiss is. Like Galvantula might get 1 or 2 Thunderwaves off and die, but this thing could, switch in and out, run Roost. I mean, it gets Heal Bell too. I don't know. And you're right. It does have good coverage. Yeah. This was the other one I was thinking of. I don't know. And then obviously like it does work so well with Galvantula just because if it can get those sticky webs up, now all of a sudden Togekiss is definitely faster than anything like that non-flying. And it can just try to like air slash things down with Serene Grace. The main reason I went with the other one is I still hate that this is like, he doesn't have a good rapid spinner. And so he's going to have to run defog on this, like relatively often. And it's just going to suck when he has to defog away like, a layer of spikes and stealth rocks or something because he needs to get rid of rocks or something. I don't know. It's just, that bothers me, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair pick though. Okay.
All right.
Our last one. What do you think? What do you got for me?
I really, really tried. I really, really tried to pick something else.
Yeah.
It's how can I not pick the Corviknight?
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
It is just ridiculously bulky. It's base 105 attack, 98 HP. I'm just pulling it up now. I think it's just phenomenal. You get a slow U-turner. It's a steel type, and that's always good. It's got consistent recovery, body press and Brave Bird, bulk up. I think it's just it's one of the best Pokemon in the league.
It's very good. It's probably
so
the
good.
Best. I mean, I guess it'd be between this and Toxapex in terms of the best defensive Pokemon we have in the league right now. I guess you could probably make an argument for either, but I mean, it's a great Pokemon. I am not going to argue at all. Man, I just realized like its move pool is kind of shallow, but it doesn't matter. It has exactly the moves it needs. Even gets Tailwind. I never knew that, but yeah, that's cool. All right. I went with, again, did not go with Corviknight. I went with Chandelure. Okay. And this is why I went with Chandelure. A couple reasons. Number one, if he brings Trick Room, which as Hatterene is on the team, I imagine he will. Chandelure is his backup Trick Room setter. I think it's the only other Pokemon on his team that learns Trick Room. So I thought that was interesting. Also, it synergizes pretty well with the Corviknight Gastrodon core. Being able to take the grass type moves for the Gastrodon, obviously, which Corviknight does too. But just being able to switch into something, I guess, offensive. and just like really like press the momentum there. Also, it can run Flash Fire, which makes it even like a better Corviknight help, which I'm assuming most of the time it is going to run Flash Fire. What is its other move, actually? Or other abilities? I could run Infiltrator, or actually all of its abilities are, you could bring
Usable.
any of those abilities, and for various reasons. I don't know. Also, it gets Trick, which... that's like one of the most common sets I see with this thing is you run like a Scarf or a Specs or something, and then you trick it onto that, I don't know, Chansey or whatever that was previously. And I don't know, its move pool is like okay. It gets Energy Ball for some reason. It gets Dark Pulse. I don't know. I picked it for two reasons. One, I think it's if Trick Room comes, it'll be there, and it does have some defensive synergy with a few of his Pokemon.
Cool. Awesome. I was not considering Chandelure, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I guess I tried to pick, like, I guess my thought process was like, I want to pick a Mon that I think is like more important to the team than its tier suggests or something like that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. But okay, that's it. We went through every single team, all the games. We did it. Week 1 is in the books.
All right. And hopefully we'll see some games soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think I guess I should say it's Tuesday the 15th? It's Tuesday the 15th. I believe the game that you said will be the best, the Thundurus versus the Dittos, is happening today, I think. So we'll see. I hope it happens too. But yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Harrison, for being here.
Thanks so much, Bo, for having me.
Yeah. And thanks, guys, for watching. We'll see you next time.